Dale, if you're ready, we can.
Oh, okay. Hi there, how are you?
Good.
Sit here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You're trying to think of your last name, Dale.
Roy.
Roy. Thank you.
Guys, I'm with Bell Fire out of Carroll. A couple of months ago, Jim and I had stopped here to just kind of talk with him about your courthouse. We've been doing quite a few different courthouses for redoing their fire alarm systems, more or less. In your facility here, in the old part, there really isn't any type of detection or anything in any of the rooms or any of the corridors. So what we're looking at doing is proposing, as far as, you know, a cost per floor, what it would take to put detection in. And then this way, at least if something did happen at night or whatever, at least somebody else would be notified on this. It could be notified, you know, by over at the sheriff's department or somewhere, you know, so that if somebody does know about this at nighttime or whatever. So just wanted to kind of get some input from you guys to see if you wanted me to go further on this.
What, I guess I'd ask, what kind of system are you proposing in a ballpark financial consideration?
What I'm looking at doing, you do have a panel here now that's used for the new jail facility, but I doubt it. I'm not sure if you want to go with that or not, with tying it into that one, or if you would have a separate one just for the courthouse. I can get it to you both ways. I guess I wasn't sure if Ken wanted, or if he had any problems with this being on with the jail facility. We could do that.
Are you talking about our new building?
Yeah, your new jail facility. Because we put a new panel in there when that was built, and that's down in the basement of your courthouse here.
That's for fire detection?
Yes.
Well, I think we can use, if it's feasible, it's not overloaded or it's not.
No.
I can see no reason not to put them together.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that's probably the way you want it. Usually what we have to do for jail facilities is you always have to do a yearly inspection on it. But this would be, I mean, if you had this building tied into it, it would be a separate inspection anyway, so that for the jail inspector, at least he's got his own paperwork still. Because he wants to see that once a year.
Yeah, and that's not going to take away from the performance of that system.
And you indicated that panel's in this building?
Yeah, it's down actually in the basement of where Mark's area is.
Okay.
It's down in that one room over there.
There'd be no reason not.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the old notifier panel that's taking care of the 77 edition, you know, but for right now I would recommend just, you know, leaving that, but just try to get something in this area, because you really don't have any type of detection if something happens at nighttime is, you know, my major concern, I guess. So that's why, at least this way, then it would notify on the keypad over there at dispatch.
What are you talking about? Financial consideration? And I realize it would be a ballpark.
Yeah. Probably what I did is I just kind of walked through the different levels quickly before this meeting. Anywhere in the neighborhood of maybe 5,000 to 6,000 per floor at the most, maximum. Now this would have smoke detectors in every one of the, like the treasurer, the vaults, the corridors, unless you're wanting to only do the corridor at this time. But usually, you know, the issue with, you know, if you do have a fire or something, it's usually not going to start out there in the corridor. It's going to be in somebody's office with all the different computer equipment and things like that. So that's why I was proposing to actually put it in, you know, like the recorder's office, the vaults, things like that. Like one in here, for example, also. More or less one in each one of these bigger rooms. And then some out in the hallways.
So you're estimating 15 to 20 grand then to do?
That would be a very high figure, I would guess.
So that seems like a lot.
Yeah. It would be, as far as the different hallways, I just got to look into it a little bit more as far as ways to get, wiring, because it would be, of course, a hardwired system. And we would have to get wiring from the smoke detectors, and then you would also have pull stations at each end of the stairway in case something happened, and smoke detection down in the corridors also. Yeah, 5,000 I would say would be a high figure per floor. 5 to 6,000 at the
And
most.
how we explain the floor, how many floors would we have?
More or less 3 floors.
Yeah,
Basement,
well, I don't know, I
first
don't think
floor,
it
second
hurt, yeah,
floor.
to go ahead, he could bring a quote, and depending on the amount, we might want to get a second opinion or a competitive bid.
I understand that. I mean, it was just one of these things that Jim and I had talked about some time ago, and then I got real busy and didn't get back to him until recently. So that's kind of why we wanted to bring this back up. This was brought up, I think, well, I know it was when the jail was being built, but then they held off on this part of it.
It gets brought up every time the ICAP guy comes.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if insurance people have.
Yeah, we've talked
Yeah.
about it.
Before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would think they'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you see what you come up with? and
Okay.
Come up and
Okay. When would, if I could have, say, a couple weeks on this, how often do your
We
meetings?
meet every Tuesday.
every Tuesday at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Just contact me or my office and
Okay.
I'll arrange for a time on the agenda for you.
Will that affect our casualty insurance? I mean, will they look favorably at that when they rate us or
You
not?
mean as far as reducing it or
Yeah.
keeping it from going up more?
Yeah. Well, either way. I mean,
I would expect it would have some influence, I don't know that it's going to cut our premium drastically, but I'm sure they look at that when they establish our premium.
I know some other places, that's why it's been brought up, because they've asked if, some of these other facilities. Carroll, we're just updating right now because they had an old 110 volt system. So if they lost power, and if their generator or whatever, they didn't really have a system. But the new ones, are all 24 volt DC, so it's got battery backup. So whether you got power or not, it still operates. So. And I haven't heard that they really reduce the rates or anything. I think there might be some deal where they might keep it, at a standstill or whatever. I'm not sure on that, but I would think that it should help. But you never know about insurance companies. And what I'll do, guys, too, if it's all right, I'll have it broke down per floor also, so that way, that's kind of the way I would break it down anyways, for you guys to see. And then I'll have a drawing also showing all the devices.
and I guess when you get down to that, I guess I think we should look at where you're putting them and
Right.
what we feel is necessary and
Yeah.
that sort of.
Yeah. I know some places at one time, they told me to hold off on the vaults because they said, well, there's no way that fire can really spread in there. And, well, that is true, but the only reason some of the times we had them in there is if something ever did happen in the vault itself, because there's a lot of storage there for history as far as everything that's in these vaults. So that's more or less, to give you an example, like on this floor, there would be more or less a smoke in the treasurers, the vault, the auto department, and then these other, like the auditor's office, the recorder's office, the vault. And then there'd be just like probably about 3 smoke detectors in the corridors. because that corridor downstairs is not that long. You can go on a 30-foot spacing on those smoke detectors. But in these rooms, you know, it kind of cuts them all up, so probably a lot of these, are these doors, most of these doors are probably shut.
Shut,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Shut and locked.
yeah, so. If you, I mean, do you want me to go with, as far as detection in these different rooms too, at first, and then we can always, if you're wanting to cut back, a guy can do that too.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I want to think about the necessity of having them involved. I mean, I'm not sure that's a priority.
Yeah, I know, like, I believe up in Calhoun, we do not have them in the bulbs up there, because it's a sealed unit. They said there's really, you know, if something would happen in there, it wouldn't spread enough to get enough air to, you know, to burn something up, so. That's kind of the way they left that.
In my office, that's where all the property history is from day one.
The thing though is that what's the likelihood of getting that out before your history's gone?
Well, if
Very
it's
low.
2 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be very high. You know, and I, you know, there's nothing in there that could, other than the fact that there's electricity in there, you know, something would spark. We don't have a lot of combustible material or anything. It's something to think about.
Well, all the trader's office, I don't think that's ever shut, is it? The 2 doors, you got that vault in the middle between the
I
two.
think it is.
Don't they close
shut
them?
that
I
down?
think, yeah, I
Oh, I
think all
do.
the vaults are closed.
I think they are too, John. Yeah. When they lock up.
Yeah.
I guess one other thing that they would have, keep in mind, like in what we have to do when we do a fire alarm system like this now too, like in your public restrooms, we have to have strobes in them too that flash if the fire alarm goes off. And then there would be sound out there in the corridors. We can get by with just out in the corridors for a facility like this. School or whatever, you know, now they have to have lights in every room. And courthouses are kind of exempt from this. That's kind of way, you know, one of the reasons, I guess, some of these courthouses don't really have a system, because they are actually exempt from the federal government for, you know, to comply with those rules. So. But I should be able to have something together for sure in 2 weeks, but I'll get with Jim later on next week and then make sure that'll work
That'd be fun.
for 2 weeks.
You're gonna have to run wires in between all these rooms.
Yeah.
Would this be the appropriate time to think, you know, we've been approached before about this panic button business. If they're gonna be running wires between the rooms,
I was going to ask that.
We've got a panic button in,
3/4 dozen, and that was the one that used to always want one. With the
doesn't she
previous,
have one? I think.
See, I was
the
thinking,
previous did it.
I'll check.
I was thinking they have a hardwired system that goes to the sheriff's department now.
They do.
They do have
But I
it.
can't remember how that, it's been there for some time. It's not tied into any of the fire alarms
No.
system or the, I mean, because we've done that in some of them too. Well, Carroll's, for instance, we've got panic buttons in certain areas, and it's tied into the same panel as the fire alarm. We've done that. It's identical to the same system you've got downstairs.
I see.
But I couldn't remember what you had for that. We've never really worked on it or anything, so I'm not sure if Mark services it or who does, if you have a problem with
Well,
it.
they check it
I'll
every
get-
month, I
I'll
know.
get with Mark on that to see what, yeah, because I've got to reacquaint myself with that too and what they have.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Ivan's supposed to be here at 10:45.